prezentace v pořadí má český název Federativní vyhledávač, proč je centralizovaný index nezbytný, anglicky Discover why the unified index matters. A uslyšíme ho od paní Helle Lauridsen, která zastupuje firmu Serial Solution, která patří dnes do velké, široké rodiny firmy ProQuest. Helle Lauridsen je její působiště je Dánsko. Helle, the floor is yours.
Thank you for being here. I'll continue this morning's discussion about the unified index and about searching and what the libraries can do to decrease the value gap. Those of you who are here the morning for the keynotes speak by Dean Burke will remember this graph that we in the libraries have a serious problem with prices increasing and the perceived value of the library decreasing. I'll show one of the reasons. This is from Periodical's price survey, and it shows some of the prices. I think all of us, I don't know what my introduction was, I'm sorry, but I used to be a serialist librarian. I used to be head of acquisitions of a big journal department. So my heartland is journals and electronic content. And this graph shows the prices in 2011 of some of the key journals within some key subjects, where normal prices in this prices in the time of prices has sort of stopped going up. The prices of e-content is still going up. That means we have to be very careful that it's used. We also heard this morning that this is what the users want. That actually the books and the print in the library is not what the users want. It was actually quite shocking statistics that more than 50% of a library's acquisitions in print has not been used. So it's expensive, the prices are going up, we have to make the electronic content used. It is being used. This is a recent diagram from a conference I was at in Sweden. This is from a library called Technical University called Chalmers, one of the prime technical universities in Europe. It shows a thick red line is initial circulation, that is books, it's going down. And the clear blue line that's going straight up is of course electronic resources going out. There's also a quite important orange line, if you can see that, which is dipping. And that is searches in databases, which keys in to James Burke's comment of the users don't know which database to use. We can't get to them. The time is over when I spent time, when I was a chemistry librarian, I forced my users to spend 2 hours a week learning how to use chemical abstracts for 3 months. Can you imagine that today? To ask a student to go and actually study to use a database? I don't think it will happen. So that's why also the use of the individual ANI databases is falling. On the other hand, the good thing is full text download is going up, 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 up. This is our heartland today. This is the core of the libraries. We need to get it used. Forget about getting the individual books used. Get the electronic content, because that's what our users are. Again, Chalmers have been doing a lot of user surveys, and before they decided to go for a discovery service, they went out and asked the students saying, what is it you want? What do you want? They had a big whiteboard in the library, and they basically asked the users to write on the whiteboard, how would you like to improve the library? This is some of the comments. So, an improved search engine on the papers we have access to Chalmers Library. Make a search engine where I can search for keywords in all the databases and e-journals instead of having to go to every database and journal. This is what's been said earlier today. This is the voice of the users. These are the people who are going to make us live also past the next 10 years. Somebody is saying the digital library is extremely useful. And if you see the next to the top, who used a library in 2010? Everything should be on the internet. Then we are back to what Jane Berg said. When it's on the internet, the users are not even sure that it's the library. They still think the library is books. We have to move away. We have to brand ourselves so the library is being used also for the electronic content, and the users are actually aware of using the library. This little comment, it's quite some years old, but I think it's still very valid. We like to search, we librarians like to search, we like to do all the intricate searching, we like to be exact. I'm sorry, the users don't care, they just want to find the information. They want to find it quick, they want to find it easy, they want to get directly to the full text, they don't want to bother. So, federated search. In the sessions before, we've heard about federated search. It's great, it works. Actually, the company I work for, Zero Solutions, has the best federated search product on the market. It's great, it's a good product. But it's not web scale discovery. It's not, as one of the earlier speakers to say said, well, it does take some time for the federated search to get through. It does. One of the reasons is that federated search goes out to each little database and ping each database. It retrieves a limited amount of results from each database. You have to remember that. It doesn't search the entire database. It just returns the top results from each database. That is, of course, where the connectors are not broken. And database vendors being what they are, they do change the interface of the library, of the database, which means connectors break all the time because it's not always that the people making the federated search knows that the database interface is being made. So the result sets get quite limited. And again, remember, how about if you are in database number 4 and it's actually result number 11 that is the result you really wanted? It's a bit scary. So we heard this morning about how web scale discovery came about. It should be a one-stop shop for the library, for everything in the library. Like those students said earlier, why can't we just have a place where we can search everything? That's what we want to make. One-click search. It should be fast and easy. It should be like Google. Of course, we talked about that earlier today. It shouldn't matter at all who the publisher is, what kind of content. If it's an image, it comes from one of the library's repositories. If it's music, a report, anything, it should be found within the same interface in the same search. And it shouldn't be necessary to learn more than one big database name. So, some years back, we started building someone, a couple of years back. This was the first time this had been attempted on really big scale. We started, as Jane Berg was saying earlier, with a lot of user investigations, user surveys. We built it from scratch because we wanted to do it right. We didn't want to build it on old database platforms, which, to be honest, really can't scale the way a web scale discovery should scale. A web scale discovery system should be able to scale into billions of documents easily and fast. It should also be very, very fast. It should not be built on something that's actually built from MARC records. I think all the librarians know a MARC record is actually quite limited. It doesn't contain full text, it doesn't contain a lot of keywords, and it's a very organized way of having information. We always know which, like field 245, that's the title, that's it. There's no differences here. The minute you have something that's more web-like, there's no numbers on the fields. You cannot just live with something that's built as a library system. Of course, it has to be pre-harvested. That's what Google does. Goes out and pre-harvest in the big index. And there should be a way, an API, which is a way to interact with other interfaces, so you can always build your own interface, or you can build your own system on top of it. So it's very agile, and it's very easy to work with, also for the library, if the library wants to develop their own interface, their own system on top of it. And it should definitely move us away from federated search, because federated search is good in a limited way, but web scale discovery is the future. So now we've been commercially available. Summer was the first web scale discovery that was launched, and it was of course also the first commercially available web scale discovery. It went commercial in 2009, July 2009, and it's been fairly successful, I'd say. Libraries have been very happy about it. There's over 240 libraries I just counted this morning, in more than 30 countries. It's a lot of them in Europe, 70 libraries in Europe and Africa. Of course, Europe being Europe with all our different countries, most of the 30 countries are in Europe as well. And we have some very big institutions as well. Princeton, Columbia, Edinburgh, Aarhus, my own university is also very big. We have some big ones. And everything is software as a service. Software as a service is an important key to it, because first of all, there's nobody who can have an index this size in their library, because it's so big, it takes so many servers, it requires so much power. But also software as a service, when you install it, means that you actually just buy a subscription. You don't have to pay for updates, you don't have to load updates, you don't need a big IT department to run this. Everything is run centrally and just pushed to the library, and it just works like Google. It's not something you have to install and maintain. You just have to maintain your own holdings, your own part of the library. But the actual software is maintained by us. So a few of the libraries. It's pretty big. And it goes from all different languages and all different scripts, from right to left and up and down, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, Czech. We have all the languages. One of the big things with someone, which definitely isn't possible if you just search within sort of mark record structure, is that it's possible to search the full text, which, again, I'm a chemistry librarian. It's rather nice to be able to search for a genome, or search for DNA, or search for a structure, a chemical structure, even if it isn't in the keyword of the title. It's actually in the full text, and you get the full text. You can search within the full text, and you actually retrieve the article. I don't know how many of you are aware that a lot of the bigger ANI databases, like CINAHL, only searches in title, subject, and keywords. Title, abstract, and keywords. It's not very rich, it's actually very, very limited. In Summon, you can search both in keywords, abstract, and the full text, as of course in the author and the title. It comes in quick and easy, even if you just click a full big sentence. So it's comprehensive. I'll show you a bit more about that, about the size of the index and what's in it. There's a proven value. We'll talk about what the users get out of it, what the statistics are from the libraries who actually use it. And I'll tell you a little bit about what the users think about Summon. Summon is big. It's more than 700 million records. Just to sort of show it, the little orange sliver there is an average library catalog. An average it's so thin that it actually shouldn't even be visible. An average library catalog is probably around 1 million records. Library of Congress, that's big, right? Look at the size of the sliver there compared to the size of Summon. Summon is everything. Summon is Naxos Music, it's all of Springer, it's all of Elsevier. It's the biggest repositories in the world, like HashiTrust, which is one of the biggest digital book repositories there is, where there's 8 million books, full text indexed. Someone is indexing the full text in these books, not just the metadata, but the full text. We have all the major publishers, of course, but we also have a lot of little things, like reports, OCD, many European publishers. We do a lot to get the European publishers in. And I'm very proud that we also cover the major repositories with, like Manuscriptorum here from Czech Republic, which means that the Summon users are part of a community which not only can get access to the commercial data, but also to the data which is indexed and digitized by the individual libraries, and therefore available to the entire Summon community within one interface. So Dartmouth College, which was one of our beta testers, so they have had for a while, they did a survey, did web feedback submissions, 3-minute survey responses orally, 9 reports with hour-long interviews, direct email responses, and remote viewing of how students actually use it. They had also investigated before Summon how it used, and at that time I think Google was the prime the prime place to start your investigations when you wanted to study. Now it looked different. 85% of the people who were asked thought that Summon was the most important place to start your research. That's a lot. And this is not just a small survey, I mean this is a full-scale, comprehensive survey. 85%. So internet search is down on 68%. Before that it was way up. I think it was above 85%. So people are actually returning to the library. I think that is pretty comprehensive proof that it is important to have a web scale discovery and that someone actually delivers what it's supposed to do. Erasmus University, another large university in Rotterdam, who's had it for over a year. Before Summon, the first quarter of 2010, before Summon was released, they had good usage. They really did. It's not a bad usage to have more than almost 20,000 hits in Business Source Premier. It's okay. But look at the hits now, a year later with Summon. Look how much more the things are used. We are driving the users back to the library. Suddenly the users have one place to find the information. And incidentally, this also shows that we really are content neutral because Business Source Premier is an actual database. So it doesn't matter where you subscribe, you get to it through Summon. Western Michigan Libraries has had Summon for also over a year. They did some various studies. They just published a very, very interesting article about how to make users use the library. It's really interesting. The reference is there, and it's worth reading. They started out with a library catalog, and it didn't have a lot of clicks, and they could see it wasn't very good. There was problems that if it wasn't a known, if it searches on an author and you had a spelling mistake, you just get 0 hits. There was a lot of empty searches. It didn't work. So in 2008, 7 or 8, they got WooFind. WooFind was a great improvement. It's a discovery interface. It had suggestions. It had did you mean. It made spelling corrections. It was much, much better. So when it was the default in the search, like this is the main web page, when it was default, they had almost 9,000 page views through this interface, which is, I don't know if that's okay to get 9,000 users through your interface into your catalog. I think maybe just a little. At the same time, they're trialing Summon as a beta, as you can see there in the orange box, and 1,314 people went through to Summon. So it's good, but it's not wildly impressive. In October 2010, this is because they didn't want to launch someone as their core search in the middle of the year, so they waited till sort of beginning of the student year in September. So this is a month after someone has been launched as a default search on the web page. This is how the web page looks today. But this is shortly after it was launched. Over 15,000 page hits. This is more than almost twice as many as there was with Woofine as the interface. And this is within a month after launching someone. I have no idea what it is today, but I'd like to know. I think this is interesting. And Woofine's basic search, there's still people who like to go there and go there. We're lucky enough to be allowed to see some of the user feedback, and it's rather fun at times. My first point of calling is someone. The users think that this is great. It's useful. It's so much easier than using the OPAC. It's nice. It saves time. Well, that's why it was built, to save time, to make it easy. But I like the thing about it being fun to use. I think that's a good one. And that's another point. I love this. And I think everybody who's worked with user feedback know how easy it is to get bad feedback. I think we all are very good at going into a feedback box on any web page if we're annoyed and angry and don't like a thing. How many times do we go in and make feedback where we actually love a thing? It's not very often. So it's quite impressive that people actually bother feeding back to the library saying, this works, we like it, can we keep it, please, please, please. So I think we've pretty much proven what we wanted to do. I think it rocks, and I'd be happy to answer questions if anybody's interested.
Tak, dotazy, Samonu. Vystrčíš?
Já bych chtěl vědět, jestli vlastně ten vyhledávací box nebo ta služba Samonu, jestli je přístupná jako je anonymně, nebo to už na to musí přihlášet, to vlastně funguje.
Summon is a library interface, which means that it belongs to the individual library. All Summon interfaces are open. We don't believe in having to log in. You log in when you are trying to, can I get online? Well, anyway, Summon is free. You can search in any Summon instance that you like. But of course, you can't get access to the e-content without logging in, without having to log into the library. This is the University of Huddersfield in the UK. And if we search on okay, first of all, this is just a random library catalog I go into. The library web discovery service, Summon. You see, first of all, there is a suggestion. This goes into the semantic web. This is not what people have searched before me. We go into the semantic web and see what kind of phrases belongs around what I'm trying to type in. So I can either have the Sheer Heart Attack tour, which is the rock band Queen's tour in the 1970s, because that's a sheer heart attack. Or I might be more interested in myocardial infarction. And to make sure that this is what I'm actually interested in, there's a drop-out box showing sort of a very short, brief note about what it is. So you get, of course, you get a ranked result list with my party and faction. Can you imagine how many hits there would have been if I just searched heart attack? This is the correct way. This is focusing directly into myocardial infarction. And you can see, because myocardial infarction is something that it's a medical term. Medical terms are not very much used in books, and especially not in this library. There's only 12 books who has myocardial infarction. So it wouldn't really make sense to rank them higher than everything else. You can go in and say, okay, I only want scholarly articles. If you're making a research paper. And you can even focus it further down and take drug therapy or whatever. So now you're really close to the subject terms that you want. I can't click through, of course, because I don't have access. I don't have a password to get in. And then, of course, you want some fairly recent stuff. So 142 recent results. If you're interested in saving some of these results, first of all, you can look more. A pretty comprehensive abstract. So the subject terms. And of course, you can see if you can go on to full text. You can also save it. Export to RefWork, EndNote, BibTeX, and if there's Zotero on the machine, it can also export to Zotero. And that is open for all 240 Summon libraries. And that's, of course, because the Summon sites only searches within the library's own collections. So it's hugely different which library you're in. Like Huddersfield is a DMO library with actually not a lot of medicine. If you went into Princeton, we probably would get an entirely different result list of medical stuff.
Thank you. I do encourage people to come to visit Albertina, who represents a real solution, and to get familiar in details with someone, because for sure it's a very topical system, and it's good to see it at work. Or you can meet some of us or Helle during forum. Jestli je ještě nějaký další dotaz, navrhuju sejít už na chodbě nebo přestávce, protože bychom tím dále zdržovali. Poděkuji ještě jednou. Thank you very much.